welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein, and we're here in our beautiful studio in Jerusalem. My guest today is Mikey Oster. He's the CEO of Saffron Tech. Mikey, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Tell our viewers a little about what is Saffron Tech?
So saffron is the most expensive spice in the world. It's produced predominantly in Iran. Saffron Tech is here to break the Iranian monopoly and produce saffron instead of in the fields, high terrains, specific weather. We've developed a technology to produce it indoors, fully controlled environment, instead of once a year, 4 times a year, enter into the spice world, but also into the nutraceutical and pharmaceutical world because of the medicinal values that are known already of saffron.
So we have this term, disruptive technologies. What does that really mean, and how does that apply to Saffron Tech?
So when you have a technology that basically changes the way the world operates or the world wants to operate, that to me is disruptive. We are here to do that. We are here to basically say, you know what, you don't need to rely on a specific country that will provide it to the world. Happens to be a country that we are not very happy with, one. As Zionists, we want to do stuff here. We want to do it in Israel, and we want to disrupt the existing technology in the world. And this is what we're doing.
This is very interesting because Iran is obviously a big enemy of the West. It's an enemy of Israel, yet people still buy a lot of saffron from them. This could change that. Why is this so important?
So the reason it is so important is because you need 100 to 120,000 flowers to be able to make 1 kilogram of dry saffron. That means about 50,000 per pound. That is why it is so expensive. That is why it is so important for somebody else to be able to produce it in a much less climate-dependent place and in a much smaller space that you can do it indoors like us. We produce it on 10 stories high within one building. So in a 5-acre facility or 1-acre facility, if you will, we produce more than 100 times what is produced in nature per meter. It's, again, due to the specific weather, et cetera. So there's only very specific places in the world, not only Iran, but 80% of it is Iran. We would like to do the change to that to not only hurt the Iranian economy, to help our own economy.
I love this about Israel. We're the startup nation, and we don't just come up with new technologies. We actually come up with technologies that will have, even additional benefit, like hurting the Iranian economy so they can't support terrorism. Why is ingenuity so important in Israel?
I think it comes sometimes from a place of need. We did desal in the past. Why? Because somebody was about to block our water. We do solar. Why? Because there's a limit to how much energy you can produce from coal and how bad it is for the world. We find the places where we can benefit from as a country, as a world, and we find where it actually overcomes, not necessarily hurts our enemies, but overcomes our enemies' potential damage to us.
There's something biblical about what you're doing, too. This isn't just, when people think of saffron, they think of fine dining. But saffron's from the Bible. Can you tell us about that?
Saffron actually used to be part of the incense of the Beis Hamikdash, of the temple. So the ketoret, the incense that was used in the temple, had, according to the Torah itself, had 4 ingredients, and according to the Gemara later interpreted, it had 11 ingredients. One of them is the Sativus Caucus, the saffron, the za'afran. And absolutely, the Kohen, the high priest, could not produce any of the special activities without using the ketoret, and that was one of the pieces of it.
Something interesting about what you're doing is not just that you can destabilize the economy of Iran, but if you can produce saffron for way cheaper than people are paying today, what kind of impact does that have globally?
So I think at the end of the day, saffron, like many other high-end products, spices, etc., depends on the quality. The quality of our saffron, because it's produced indoors, because we've developed this special protocol to grow it 4 times a year, consistent, the corms are clean, etc., basically gives us a much higher quality product. The saffron in the world sells for anywhere from $1 a gram to $50, $60, and $70 a gram, which is $70,000 a kilogram. We are going to be producing the highest end product for much cheaper than the highest end price. We're not going to compete with the cheapest and the counterfeits that are being done today because they're bought by suitcases from Iran. We're not going to compete with that, but we are definitely going to be much better, much cheaper, and much more consistent, if you will, than the higher end saffron that exists today.
Is this a theory or is this something that's being done today? Are you actually producing saffron?
We are. We're producing it at a We have one facility on the Otef Aza, right around the Gaza border, near Ashkelon, a kilometer from Ashkelon. That's one facility. That's an R&D facility. When the war broke out, we were supposed to start a pilot center there. Well, the war broke out, made things much more difficult. And as a result of that, 15 miles up near Gadara, we have our pilot plant. So we have a facility that works. We have a facility that can produce, but we're not commercial yet. We're planning to, in the next few weeks, to sign up a significant commercial production facility construction.
Mikey, there are literally tens of millions of people watching this show. What message do you have for our viewing audience?
Here's the deal. We're here to stay, like many other Israeli companies and inventions, and we're here to do something that I believe is as Zionistic as it gets, as counter-terrorist as it gets from a non-pure military perspective. In other words, we're here to stay and we're here to grow the saffron, and anyone who's interested is more than welcome to visit our site. We're doing a lot of things. Visit our site website and visit our physical site, which is mentioned here below. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mikey, for being on the show. And thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. Now back to the studio.